guys, it's Stephanie, and I am here today to do the Netflix book tag. I was tagged in this by Olive over at Abookolive, and I like these kind of tags because these are the kind of tags you could get tagged multiple times, and every time you do this tag, which is something I think is cool because I think a lot of times with tags, they're the same kind of questions and you just tend to give the same kind of answers. So I like things like this. I think it works. So anyway, on with it. Recently watched the last book you finished reading. I finished reading Let the Great World Spin by Collum McCann, and I absolutely loved this. This was one of those setups that I love where it's a novel told in short stories. The setting for this novel is the 1970s in New York when Philip Pettit did that crazy tightrope walk between the two towers. And the novel, of course, is told in these short stories from all of these different perspectives, different walks of life, and the short stories interconnected by people's relationships with each other, but also by this event that just brings everyone in the city together, you know, and it's all people can talk about and just how crazy it was. And as I was reading it, I was like, oh man, this is really crazy that he's doing this. So it was just really fascinating to read a book with that setting and with those events and just with that cultural unity going on. Top picks, books you have been recommended based on books that you liked. So I have mentioned the few setups for books that I like, and one of the setups that I like for a story is an old person looks back on their life and reflects on what they have learned. I don't know why I love that, but I do. And so Kate told me I need to read Ian McEwan's Atonement. I have seen the movie, I have not read the book. I will get to it eventually, I promise. So that is one that has been recommended to me. If you have any other books like Atonement or like A Sense of an Ending, anything like that, that you would like to recommend, please do. I love that. Recently added, a book you've recently bought. So a few days ago, I did my Dollar Tree book haul where I freaked out, where I found books that I recognized for $1 at the dollar store. And one of these books was one that had been on my TBR off and on, and that it was by a Canadian author in a book I never saw anywhere. And this was Road Ends by Mary Lawson. This is basically a family drama, which I love. Another one of those setups that I have a weakness for. So I bought this and I was really excited. So I'm hoping to get to this soon. You know, I get to those points where I just need some family drama. It's like my comfort. It's my comfort genre. So I might be turning to this soon, for sure. Popular on Netflix, books everyone knows, and two that you've read. For that, I'm gonna say Burial Rites and Station 11. And both of those I really enjoyed. Burial Rites was surprising for me because it is very description heavy, you know, not plot driven, not a fast read, but it was sad and mournful and reflective. So I think I liked those things about it. I mean, I did enjoy the descriptions and stuff, but I think I loved the tone, and I listened to it as an audiobook, and the voice actress that narrated it was fantastic. I feel like she really got worked up emotionally to where it was just very believable and made me shudder. I loved Station 11 too. I loved the premise. I loved all the different characters and their stories and trajectories and the playing with the timeline for this pandemic. I thought it was really interesting. So those were two books that BookTube recommended that I actually ended up enjoying, did not regret reading. Two that I have no interest in. Basically, whenever there's like fantasy series going around, I don't read fantasy. I've tried. I'm just not a fantasy reader. And if I do read fantasy, it has to be grounded in the real world with just a little bit of it. I can handle it. But just when I'm dealing with different worlds and rules and magic systems and made up names and made up country names, it is an overload and I can't take it. I can't deal with it. So I'm just not a fantasy reader. So any of those like Robin Hobb, Three Dark Crown things, you know, Queen of the Tearling, none of those are things I'm ever gonna pick up. They're just not for me. I'm not the reader for those books. But if you are, awesome. Comedies. A funny book. One that I really liked, it was a book I picked up a few years ago, was Jonathan Tropper's This Is Where I Leave You, because one, it has family drama, but it's a funny family drama, and I just thought it was really well written. I remember I loved how all the chapters left off, but I really enjoyed it. I still have not seen the movie adaptation, and I don't know if I want to. The next question is drama, a character who is a drama queen or king. So I went with the male. I'm picking Joe from Caroline Kepnes' You. He is a very deranged stalker who is very delusional and basically becomes infatuated with this girl Beck. His reasoning for things is crazy, and when things start to get bad, his reasoning is very over dramatic and over the top and ridiculous. So definitely Joe. Animated, book with a cartoon on the cover. This was really hard for me. I don't own a whole lot of animated things. I got this from a lady that I work with. She was cleaning out her basement and she knew that I liked reading horror, so she gave me this book. It is a collection of short stories, Weird Tales, and these are short stories written between the years of I think 1929 and 1954. I have been meaning to get to it. I'm hoping to get to this sometime soon, because it would just be really interesting to read, you know, what horror was in those decades. But I love the cover. In case you don't see, it's like a skeleton writing these short stories on a desk. But Watch It Again, a book you want to reread. This book, like the minute I finished reading it, I was already planning when I was going to reread it, and I am not a rereader because I am one of those people that thinks like, oh, you only have so much time, I have to read all these books, I have to get to all these things I want to get to. But this was one I'm going to break that rule for. It is Julian Barnes' A Sense of an Ending. One, because it is really short, so I don't feel like it's like going to really cut that much into all the books that I'm not going to get to while I'm spending time rereading this. This one, I just loved and really connected with, and two, there's a lot of plot twists and information that is revealed that, looking back on it, I think there was some foreshadowing earlier on, and I really want to reread it and see if I can catch all the, not really clues, but the foreshadowing and the, you know, the parallels in the storytelling, and see if I can figure all that out. So this is one I'm interested in rereading maybe next year. A nonfiction book you'd recommend to anyone. This one I am saying Smoke Gets in Your Eyes by Caitlin Doughty. I loved this book because it deals with, not only is it a memoir about her time working at a crematorium, it deals with the American view of death, which is something, I don't know, I weirdly love to bring up with people. Like, I work with people sometimes, and I'll just be like, what do you think about death? No one is surprised by this. And I ask people, like, how they want to be buried. I am the kind of person that will meet someone and ask them, like, what their philosophies on death are, and how, if they want to be buried or cremated, you know, and it makes for a really interesting conversation. And I'm sure they tell people that I'm a freak, but I don't know, it's something I find really fascinating, and I think you learn so much about people talking about things like that, and it's something I really do love talking about. So I would, knowing me, I would definitely 100% recommend this book to anyone, because first of all, everyone dies. Everyone is going to have to deal with these decisions, or their family is going to have to deal with these decisions, and I think it's something we do need to be more educated on. Action and adventure, an action-packed book. I am not a huge fan of action and adventure in literature or in film. It's just not something I really get into. I get really bored, which is something that is really hard to explain to my husband. Like, when there is battle scenes in movies, I am usually just really bored because there's too much going on and I can't follow it. I have a hard time following it. Same in literature. I just get really jumbled and I don't know what's going on. So I don't have anything for this because I tend to stay away from that. New releases. A book that came out or is coming out that you want to read. There is one I want to read and my library doesn't have it, so I tried requesting it and they don't have it, but it is See What I Have Done, and it's going to be historical fiction about Lizzie Borden, which, guys, if you know me, you know I'm all about that kind of stuff. And if there's a new book coming out about Lizzie Borden, it's not supposed to be like more, but I think it's like from the servant's point of view and what was going on. It's not supposed to be like horror. It's supposed to be more like literary fiction-esque. But it seems really interesting and I want to get my hands on it somehow. I'm going to see if I can like request my library to order it, if I can figure out how to do that on the website. Max, tag some people. So for this, I am tagging Kate Howe. I am tagging Adam at MementoMori. I am tagging Juan at Just One Reader. And I am tagging Julia over at A Girl in a Book. So tell us what you're reading and what you love. Those are my answers. Thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you again soon. Bye.